Hey guys, Jonathan here for Just My Tech, and today we have the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, and this also applies to Samsung Galaxy S8 proper. This is my full review, or I guess more of a review breakdown. So I want to compare it alongside the S7 Edge. Now this is not a full comparison, but it'll give you a kind of idea if you should buy it or not buy it. Biggest thing that we have on the Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus is the Infinity display. The Infinity display goes from 5.8 to 6.2. Now I opted out for the 6.2 in the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. So a lot of the questions have been, well, how does the S8 Plus feel compared to the S7 Edge? That's a good question. The edges are not as pronounced. That's the big difference. So unfortunately, if you did have the Note 7 and you had to give it up, you know that curve was nice and rounded. It wasn't as sharp as the S7 Edge. So that's what they brought into the S8 and S8 Plus. One good thing about it is that it feels the same as far as width-wise for the Samsung S7 Edge, but it's taller. With the S7 Edge, you've got a 5.5 Quad HD Super AMOLED display versus the S8 Plus, you've got a 6.2 Quad HD Super AMOLED display. And also, you've got the Infinity display that takes up most of the front. Now, things that you do have that are similar is that you still have a 12 megapixel camera on the rear, same as you have on the S7 Edge, but the sensor has been upgraded on the S8 Plus. It does have better processing. When it comes to S7 Edge, you've got a 32 gigabyte internal storage versus the S8 Plus and S8 proper come with 64 gigabytes of internal storage before you add the SD card slot. Now, one of the major factors for people that like to take selfies is that the S7 Edge comes with a 5 megapixel sensor on the front camera. S8 Plus comes with the 8 megapixel sensor, which is not a big difference, but it comes with autofocusing. Now that really matters for those that have a really strong selfie game. Now, a lot of the main features that you have from the S7 Edge to the S8 Plus have continued. You still have your IP68 dust and water resistance. You've also still got a great curve. You've got Samsung Pay. Right now, the S7 Edge has been updated to 7.0 Nougat, and the S8 Plus is on 7.0 Nougat as well. As far as the UI, it's roughly about the same, but the S8 Plus is cleaning it up just a little bit more. Now, for the most part, you will see the same upgrades come to the S7 Edge as well. You're just gonna have to wait a little bit. The biggest feature that you do have to differentiate between the two phones is the Bixby function. That's their Google Assistant / Siri competitor. Now, out of the box, voice assistant does not work. Pretty much, it gives you Google Now type features, and then there's a nice feature where you can actually take a picture of something and identify it and locate where you can purchase it. So that's nice, but we want to see out of the box what Bixby's going to be doing, and currently that is not available. Now both have Samsung Pay, which is a big differentiator between any Android platform, as well as you still have wireless charging on both the phones. Now the minor difference that a lot of people have been picking at is that the S7 Edge comes with a 3600 milliamp battery versus the S8 Plus with the larger display comes with a 3500 milliamp battery. Now, the main breakdown for me is that I've actually used both of these phones and they've been my daily driver. Now, the S8 Plus has been my daily driver for a little over a week. And I have to say, battery life is not an issue. If anything, which is kind of crazy, it's better. With 100 milliamps less than the S7 Edge, the S8 Plus is powering through the day with no problems whatsoever. And I've noticed with the S7 Edge, it takes you an hour and a half to charge the battery versus the S8 Plus takes you roughly about under an hour and a half. If I were to say, it'd be an hour and 15 minutes. take 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so for general usage, I really enjoyed it. The main drawback that I found is that getting used to this haptic feedback button. Now, I've turned off my home button display. It's still active, but you don't see the actual button down here. That's mainly because with Super AMOLED displays, there's always a concern of burning. Now, Samsung has already reported that they've taken care of that and that the button actually frequently moves and comes in and out, but rather be safe than sorry. So I went ahead and disabled it, showing on the home screen. So, but you can still get into it. So, I leave the always on display as well because it's always moving ever so much here and there. I've loved this phone. The big difference that I have found between the S7 Edge and the S8 Plus is that the edges are better on the S8 Plus versus the S7 Edge. It's more, I guess you could say it's more of a curve than an edge because it curves with the natural form of your hand. So the 6.2 display feels just like the S7 Edge, which was at 5.5, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But it does feel nice and it works. A lot of people complained about watching videos on the S8 Plus. One thing, you're gonna have a big difference because you have letterboxing, these black bars on left and right, but it's not a big issue because you have such a big display. And being that you're a first adopter, you're going to have issues where apps are not optimized for the new phone. That will change. And if they don't, it's still a great phone. Now the camera is taking great photos. I mean, I've done them side by side and autofocusing is still stellar on the S8 Plus as it was with the S7 Edge. Now, one of the big differences that people have mentioned is that the fingerprint sensor is now on the rear. First, it took a little adjustment, and after that, it worked fine because the fingerprint sensor is so quick. It is a lot quicker than the S7 Edge, and that helps out because when you're fiddling around with the rear, you want to be able to touch a sensor that can pick up your fingerprint quickly, and this does it. So, all in all, I'll have to say that the S8 Plus is my new phone. This is going to be my new YouTubing, filming phone, as well as my daily driver. Now, the big question, should you buy it? Well, for me, I always like the newest tech, so I'm always going to jump to it. But the biggest factor for me of the two phones was the fact that it has 64 gigabytes of internal storage. I'm an app hog. I like to have a lot of apps. I don't like to sideload everything to my SD card. So this was a key factor because I found that my S7 Edge was starting to get sluggish with all the apps and I'd have to shift them to my SD card. With the S8 Plus, they've simplified that issue by adding double the amount of storage. For people that are not looking for the latest and greatest, you still have a great phone in the S7 Edge. They still have the same camera, the sensor is slightly different, but you're going to take great photos. For the average consumer, the S7 Edge is a great buy. I would approve it. Now, if you want a great display and you want the latest and greatest in tech for smartphones, go with the S8 Plus, but it comes at a price like anything in this world. So, as always, like and subscribe on the video, show some support, share with a friend. This is Johnathan here for Just My Tech,